lungs, pleura, ureter, kidney, arms, legs, and even nasal mucosa. Some patients you will find, if you take up gynecology in your future career, patient complains of unusual sites of bleeding during their menstrual cycle. So these are the unusual sites. So those who are suffering from endometriosis can come with these sites getting involved, and she will give you peculiar history that she has, say, hemoptysis during periods, she has hematomas during her cycles. These are uncommon, rare sites. The commonest sites are these. And how it works is the estrogen is which are the two main hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Here estrogen is the incriminating factor and progesterone comes to rescue. Okay, so these are the theories of endometriosis. Retrograde menstruation means what? When there is menstrual cycle, blood should flow from the uterus through the vagina. This is the normal flow. If it is retrograde, that means it is flowing backwards through the ostia, through the tubes. It is the retrograde reflux is into the peritoneum. This is one theory of endometriosis. Angiogenesis. Angiogenesis means development of vasculature, new vasculature. Why the endometriosis is happening to certain women and not to all women? So there must be some reasons behind. These are the theories proposed, that these patients are having this estrogen dependency, retrograde menstruation, angiogenesis, causing local inflammation, oxidative stress, and stem cell. This theory is also there. So these are the theories: retrograde menstruation, Sampson's theory, Mayer-Ivanhoe theory of coelomic metaplasia. That means the coelom is it's a coelomic cavity, embryologically developing. This parietal peritoneum differentiates into endometrium. You have idea of embryology developing from three germinal layers: endoderm, mesoderm, ectoderm. This endometrial tissue has the potential of developing further. So there is coelomic metaplasia. It develops into the coelom itself, the coelomic epithelium develops into endometrium. Then this is the Mullerian remnant theory. There is a developmental problem which has caused an atypical migration or differentiation of these remnants. The uterus develops from the paramesonephric ducts. Those unite and it develops from these paramesonephric ducts. And the Mullerian mesonephric ducts they are not present in a XY individual. So they degenerate, but if there are Mullerian remnants, that can cause also endometriotic tissue. Then there is the direct implantation theory, that endometrial tissue is getting implanted on different sites and then it develops. It has to sustain. If you try to understand the endometrial tissue during the menstrual cycle, it flows out. So it gets sheds off. Then how come this endometrial tissue is settling on other tissues and growing? So there must be some reason for this. These are the theories proposed. Direct implantation theory, and another theory is by lymphatic and vascular metastasis. It is flowing through lymph and blood. These endometrial tissues are transported to different parts of the body and there it is growing. Why it is growing? When a tissue grows, that is called, they should be having a vascular supply. That is angiogenesis, neoangiogenesis, new vascular supply. And apoptosis is death of a cell. Only the tissue will grow when there is more of this angiogenesis and less of apoptosis. That balance gets disturbed. So there is more of growth, differentiation, and development of endometrial tissue. In a normal woman, endometrial tissue will not cause endometriosis. So there is some genetic potential, and these are the theories proposed. See, the pelvic endometriosis, that means the peritoneum is involved. This can be explained by the retrograde menstruation theory. That means the blood there is a reflux of blood. Do you understand this reflux of retrograde menstruation? The direction gets reversed. This is the tube. The endometrial lining is here. It should flow like this. This has gone in the reverse direction, and it is going into the peritoneum. So this is the retrograde theory, which is most commonly accepted theory. Then we have the peritoneal endometriosis, which is causing coelomic metaplasia, abdominal viscera, rectovaginal septum, and umbilicus, all explained by coelomic metaplasia. That means the coelomic epithelium is changing its character into endometrium. Understood? Then abdominal scar, you will get scar endometriosis. After a cesarean section, some patients complain of say a nodular swelling along the incision site, which develops during the period. So this is a scar endometriosis. Episiotomy scar can also be involved, and vagina, cervix, all this can be explained by the direct implantation theory. That means endometrial tissue has deposited there and it starts growing there. And through lymphatic channels, it can spread at distant sites. This is called catamenial menstruation, where the patient complains of, say, hemoptysis, that is blood in the sputum during periods. How? It has spread to lungs through the vascular spread, mostly. Pleura, skin, nerves also get involved. That causes the pain. So there is a neurogenic theory also explaining its presence. So it is vascular spread, genetically determined, and immunological factors involved. So these theories we have discussed: the stem cell theory, the stress theory, the chronic inflammation causing the interleukins, and estrogen is the dominant hormone which is incriminated here, and the epigenetic factors that we have discussed. That is, the changes are causing this pathogenesis, and this is demonstrated not only of women of reproductive age suffer from the disease, but also adolescents and younger women with a family history. So specific genetic loci have also been identified for the initiation of the disease, making some women more prone than the others. Sometimes you will find the family gets involved. I mean, her mother, her sisters, grandmother may give a history of endometriosis in their younger days. So the risk factors we have discussed: low parity, that means less number of children, late pregnancy, family history of endometriosis, genital outflow tract obstruction. What will happen when there is a genital outflow tract obstruction? Retrograde menstruation. So this is a very direct explanation of endometriosis. Say there is an imperforate hymen or the transverse vaginal septum that is not allowing the menstrual blood to flow along its natural course. Then there is a reflux. Then the environmental toxins, dioxins, polychlorinated biphenyls, heavy metals, endocrine disrupting chemicals. Number of chemicals we use, plastic, the lipsticks that ladies use, these have been found, this is all theories, that this can cause endometriosis. So these are the theories, this is all developing. We are not coming to a conclusion, but these are the theories and the molecular defects that happen along with it. So what are the molecular defects? The cytokines, tumor necrosis factor, macrophages, extracellular matrix metalloproteinase. What these help in the dissemination of the disease. Interleukins, microRNA, vascular endothelial growth factor. This is causing the angiogenesis, the development of the vasculature, and the estrogen. Estrogen, never forget, this is the primary incriminating factor here. So this has been seen that in case of ectopic endometrium, in a normal woman, this doesn't have these factors, but the ectopic endometrium present in case of endometriosis patients, they have these factors raised. So this is the pathogenesis, hormones, cytokines, immunity, heredity, retrograde menstruation can cause all this, implantation, metaplasia, endometriosis, proliferation, and if it regress, then it will disappear. If it doesn't, it will develop. So all these factors are, once again, it is a just revision of it. Genetic mutations, immunological factors, molecular defects, hormonal alteration, mechanical outflow tract obstructions, and the environmental toxins. So this ectopic endometrium is irritant to the other structures. This causes proliferative changes, cyclical growth. It is irritant, and so it causes adhesion, and it causes the chocolate cyst. That blood gets altered, it becomes brownish in color. This will cause chocolate cyst. That is first it was blood, red in color. As it gets older, it will turn brown. So that is chocolate cysts that we often found in the ultrasound. They may comment like this, that the chocolate cysts are pathognomonic of endometriosis. And in spite of dense adhesion, sometimes the fallopian tubes remain patent. This is very characteristic. So the macroscopic features depends upon the extent of the organ involved, extent of the lesion, that is size of the lesion, and reaction of the surrounding tissues. This will determine how bad this disease has been for that particular patient. Now, pelvic endometriosis, it may present as small black dots, fibrosis and scarring. It may appear as patches, yellow, brown, white, and adhesions may be found. They are more active than powder burns one. The ovaries frequently are bilateral, present as endometrioma. So it present clinically as superficial endometriosis, deep infiltrating endometriosis, and ovarian endometrioma, that is the ovarian cysts. This can be staged as minimal, mild, moderate, and severe. So the staging occurs in this manner. So this is the clinical entities: superficial, deep, and endometrioma. Are you understanding? Yes? This is the superficial endometriosis as we see on laparoscopy. You know what is laparoscopy? Yes? So this is how it presents. This is the ovarian endometrium. See the huge cysts? This is the uterus. See the size of the ovaries, it has increased in size due to the chocolate cysts. This is deep infiltrating endometriosis. See, this is the uterus. Can you see? Can you identify? This is the uterus. These are the ovaries. This is the tube. This is the gut, all clinging to each other. It is becoming a en masse. You cannot identify at times which one is what. Anatomical identification becomes difficult. This is how we encounter in laparoscopy. In any operation, in endometriosis, we get this type of pictures. These are a later stage. This is moderate to severe endometriosis. The macroscopic appearance depends upon the presence of endometrial glands and stroma, the pressure effect on the lining epithelium of cyst. This causes flattening of the absence or flattening of or replacement by granulation tissue. The large polyhedral phagocytic cells laden with hemosiderin. Hemosiderin, it comes from blood. So, when it gets old, you will find these cells. You may not get the endometrium as stoma or glands sometimes. You might only get the hemosiderin deposits. And the cyst wall is composed of fibrous tissue and compressed ovarian cortex. Now, the clinical profile. So, this is how a young patient, young means she is in the 30 to 45, high social status, late pregnancy, nulli gravida or 1 or 2 children, subfertile, she may complain of this. And outflow tract obstructions we might find in the younger age group, in adolescent age groups. Sometimes 25% are asymptomatic. Patient doesn't complain of anything. You find out about endometriosis when you are doing any investigation. Suppose you are doing an ultrasound and you find a cyst, with chocolate cysts, that is endometriosis. Patient may not complain always. So 25% are asymptomatic, means no symptoms. And it is not related to the extent but depth of penetration. How far it has gone deep into the organ, that will determine whether she will have symptoms or not. Penetration above 5 millimeter can cause pain when they involve the nerves. So this is the neurogenic theory also. The non-pigmented lesions are more painful due to prostaglandin F. Prostaglandins, you know, these can cause pain. Related to site and hormone sensitivity, midline lesions more painful. Degree is not of pain, not related to severe. Some patients may complain of a lot of pain, but she may not have such signs when you are trying to find out how much is the endometriosis. So it is not always corroborative. Causes are inflammation, necrosis, tissue necrosis, adhesion, nerve irritation, and local inflammatory mediators. Symptoms, how she will present as dysmenorrhea. This is the commonest one. Mostly they will present 70% with dysmenorrhea. What is dysmenorrhea? Painful periods, right? What is dyspareunia? Painful intercourse. Chronic pelvic pain. She might have a nagging pain throughout her cycle. Abdominal pain, dysuria. What is dysuria? Louder, please. Dysuria means painful micturition. Dyschezia. Dyschezia is painful defecation. Right? I have told you it can involve the POD. Try to figure it out. The anatomical sites involved. That is causing the pain. POD involved, rectum involved, they will have dyschezia. They will have dyspareunia. And dysmenorrhea can be present due to all this cause. Low backache and catamenial chest pain. Catamenial means this happens only during periods. That is, it can spread to distant sites, I have told you. Rare, but sometimes it can. And cyclical pain at surgical sites, scar endometriosis. Scars, commonest scars in a woman, reproductive age. What are the scars? Cesarean scar, episiotomy scar, umbilical scar. This can present like this. Other symptoms may be AUB, abnormal uterine bleeding, infertility, hematuria. See, if bladder gets involved, you might get hematuria. You might get dysuria, diarrhea, constipation, if the rectum gets involved, if POD is involved, all structures can be involved. POD is behind the uterus, in front of the rectum, so she might have dysmenorrhea, pelvic pain, dyschezia. Try to give the symptoms by understanding the anatomy. Don't try to mug up. Try to analyze, you will give the answers very systematically. Do you understand? Chronic fatigue, hemoptysis, bleeding from surgical sites, that is from scar endometriosis. Now examination, you might not get anything. You try to examine the patient, she doesn't give any sign. There may be an abdominal mass, there may not be. So you may not get any abdominal examination finding. There may be tenderness, restricted mobility of uterus. Why the restricted mobility? Adhesion. So uterus is usually anteverted. What is the normal, this is anteverted, then it becomes retroverted. If it gets retroverted, so this is the normal structure. Now if it goes like this, it will hit upon the rectum. So this is due to endometriosis in the POD, rectum. This is causing dyschezia and retroversion of uterus. This can also cause what else? Yes? Subfertility. She may not be fertile because the ovum pickup may be disturbed. Fallopian tubes usually remain patent, but the uterus and the ovarian proximity may be disturbed. This can cause infertility. So the classical symptoms are, so you will get these, and on examination see, you may not reveal anything. Sometimes you will get pelvic tenderness, nodules in the POD. How the nodules are formed? Due to the endometriotic deposits. If you do a PR, you might get the nodules. PR means pulrectum examination. Nodular feel of uterosacral ligaments. You know what is uterosacral ligaments? Yes? Where are they present? Supports of uterus. Huh? This is behind. So it gets retroverted, the uterosacral ligaments get involved. Fixed retroverted uterus, unilateral or bilateral adnexal mass. Adnexa means what? Yes? Adnexa means tube and ovary, adjacent to the uterus. Please try to understand the terms. Adnexa means tube, ovary, both. So adnexal mass. And pus speculum, you may reveal bluish spots in the posterior fornix. So it can have various colors, we have said. Black, red, yellow, blue, all these are the changes of the blood. In your FMT classes, you have seen the changes taking place in a wound, color changes. This is how the blood here also changes. It is the blood. Try to understand. It is not Greek here. It is all written there, written in your mind. Try to analyze and give you answers. Do you get my point? And rectal examination may be helpful. So diagnosis by the classical symptoms of dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, infertility, pelvic findings, and the serum markers are there. Serum CA-125 gets raised, moderate elevated in severe endometriosis, but it is not very specific. It may be raised in other diseases also. So you have to assessment of the therapeutic response, assessment of recurrence in follow-up cases, and may be elevated in epithelial ovarian cancer also. So monocyte chemotactic protein, this is increased in peritoneal fluid, and other biomarkers are these. So this is for your theory papers, but we need to assess how we are treating. This has a notorious tendency of recurrence because the patient is having her periods. So this will come back again. So our job is to keep it under control. We can't eliminate it totally. If you eliminate endometriosis, she will become either menopausal, At menopause, she will have no symptoms, and during pregnancy, she will have no symptoms. So what is our aim is to create a pseudo pregnancy status, that is a false pregnancy status of hormonal levels, and a false menopause, that is pseudo menopause. So our aim as a physician would be to reduce the estrogen level when it is reduced in these two phases. So differential diagnosis, it can present as chronic pelvic infection, benign ovarian, this is DD of a ovarian mass. You have to, you might have endometrioma also in this DD. Malignant ovarian tumor, acute abdomen, disturbed ectopic pregnancy, ovarian torsion, tumor torsion, appendicitis, diverticulitis, and it may simulate ruptured chocolate cyst or endometrioma of ovary. In ruptured ectopic, you have blood in peritoneum. A ruptured chocolate cyst can sometimes simulate these features. So this is a theory question, might come as an adnexal mass. Please mention endometrioma also. So how do you diagnose? By imaging, ultrasound, transvaginal, endorectal can detect ovarian endometrioma and rectosigmoid endometriosis. MRI can detect hyperintensity in T1 weighted images and hypointensity in T2 images. You will understand these MRI images, T1, T2, we will explain some other day. This just try to understand MRI is very important in this diagnosis. Then CT scan and IVU also can detect deep and suspected ureteric involvement. So this is the USG of endometrioma, CECT of endometrioma and bile endometriosis, deep infiltrating endometriosis. See the arrows pointing here. And this is endoscopically we find by laparoscopy, or this, in case of rectosigmoidoscopy, we find involvement of the rectum, cystoscopy involvement of the bladder, and colonoscopy involvement of the colon. These, but laparoscopy we do commonly to find out how far it is involved. So laparoscopy is done, and this is a gold standard of diagnosis. This is how the assessment is done according to the size and extent. Biopsy can be taken, staging can be done, and you can record. In laparoscopy, it is advantageous, you can keep the video. Any budding surgeons here who want to become good surgeons, gynecological surgeons, general surgeons, you will keep records like this. Interested? Interested to take up surgery? Huh? Anyone dreaming to become good surgeons? So you have to keep records. And laparoscopy surgery can be done for these lesions as well. This can present as powder burn and matchstick spots. Staging is done to predict the diagnosis, choose the therapy, and evaluate the treatment. This is the staging: minimal, mild, moderate, and severe. This is how the staging is done according to the involvement of the peritoneum and ovary, endometriotic involvement, and adhesions. So it is staged like this. There is a scoring system. The limitation we don't have to know right now. You just see how it looks like, and this is the chocolate cyst that has ruptured. You can take biopsy from these. It can impact the fertility, as we have discussed. The ovum pickup can be involved. Ovulation can be involved. Endocrinopathy. What are the endocrinal changes? There is corpus luteum insufficiency, luteolysis, luteinized unruptured follicle, anovulation, elevated prolactin, and the double LH peak. So the complications are there due to these features only. Treatment may be preventive and curative. So, determine the treatment option by the age of the patient, site of lesion, severity, whether she is desirous of fertility or not, what is the result of previous therapy, and what has been the maximum side effects. We want the minimal side effects with maximum efficacy. So there are expectant treatments, medical treatments, surgical treatments, and combined treatments. We do expectant treatments in case of patients who are, it is a progressive disease. So in mild and minimal cases, we do with say, analgesics. In case of unmarried woman, young married, desirous of family and approaching menopause, so these are the factors will determine the type of treatment we will give. These are the drugs that are used. This you can, this can come as a question. Treatment options, COCP, progesterones, androgenic steroids, others like GnRH analogs, and this is GnRH antagonist. Currently, these drugs are also in the market. Letrozole, anastrozole, dopamine agonist and prolactin inhibitor. Others are these progesterone antagonists, mifepristone. This is the summing up of all the treatments, first line, second line and third line. That is COCP, analgesics, contraceptives, progesterone, and GnRH analogs and antagonists. So these are the theory questions you can expect. Please go through it, the dosage, etc. You will do it from your textbooks. So what do we have to see? Whether symptoms are relieved, the lesion is reduced in size, and she has got back her fertility or not. And you have to prevent recurrence. So this should be the A treatment. So this is the challenge of therapy, indications of surgical management in case of deep ones and endometriomas more than 1 centimeters, and you have to improve. Fertility enhancing surgeries can be done. Surgical management are these, and ultimate treatment is, suppose she is approaching menopause or she still has endometriosis, you can go for hysterectomy. This is the last treatment. We will not opt for hysterectomy before we have failed with other treatments. So this is the just the summing up of the treatments. Now adenomyosis, as we all know, it is the presence of endometrial tissue in the myometrium. This presents more as heavy menstrual bleeds and also pain. So this can be diagnosed with the junctional zone at the innermost layer of the myometrium. This causes the endometrium infiltrates through that into the myometrium. So junctional zone increases in size. This is the diagnosis of adenomyosis. So the same mechanism is there, and the theories are, there is a change of tissue injury and repair. There is uterine peristaltic activity. So endometrial tissue is refluxed into the myometrium. It should be inside. It has crossed that barrier and come into the junctional zone, and then the myometrium gets involved. So the growth and tissue reaction of endometrium depends on response of ectopic endometrium to ovarian steroids, and the basal layer is unresponsive to hormones. Functional layer is important, and there is myometrial hyperplasia as well. This is how it looks like. The gross anatomy, it becomes globular in size. And this is the adenomyosis. That is, see, the endometrial tissue, the stroma and the glands are within the myometrium. These are the smooth muscles of the myometrium. Within that, you find endometriosis. This is adenomyosis. Are you watching? You might get the OSPE here. You have to identify and write the slide. If you get an opportunity, please see it. The symptoms, as we have said, this is how it presents. clinical features, it is presented in a bit later age, in the 4th decade, say 40 plus. Heavy menstrual bleeds, dysmenorrhea, all the symptoms, and they may present with a midline uterine mass. So this we have discussed, the causes of HMB may be this, and may present with dysmenorrhea also. It can impact fertility. This is the USG colored Doppler showing the adenomyosis. See how it has infiltrated into the junctional zone. See this you will get as a MCQ. The low signal intensity of junctional zone is equal to 8 millimeter. This excludes adenoma. If it is more than 8 and if it is more than 12, it confirms adenomyosis. The junctional zone thickness measures the adenomyosis. Management with NSAID, hormones, progesterone, same thing. Here we can do adenomyomectomy, uterine mass reduction, or uterine artery embolization. And finally, if she is paras, completed her family, 45 to 50 age, you can go for hysterectomy in these cases. So this is overlapping of the symptoms in endometriosis and adenomyosis. The take-home message is, who considers endometriosis and adenomyosis as disease entity which can present with pain? What are the 3 symptoms? Pain, subfertility, and bladder bowel symptoms. So basically, pain, and subfertility. Don't forget, these 2 things are the primary things, and it can impact the sexual and mental health. Patient gets very depressed. If you are with pain throughout the month, you get depressed. So this can impact the mental health. So we need to treat these patients definitely. And overall well-being and quality of life gets disturbed. So we need to have more awareness program and sensitize the general public. Just don't say that it happens, it always happens to everyone. Don't bother. Please take the history of your patients, try to treat them, improve their health and social conditions. So early detection and available treatment options we have. So we can control the disease, give her relief, and if you can control the pain as she is desirous of pregnancy, we have to treat for her subfertility. So sometimes we have a multidisciplinary approach. That means we might have to take help of other disciplines, say endocrinologists, your surgeons, and physicians. All should come into play because patient doesn't know whom to go to. She is complaining of pain. She can go to any of your friends. She may not come to the gynecologist in the first place. So try to be aware. You as medical students also should be aware. If a patient comes, if you see someone in your family or in your neighborhood complaining of these things, please try to take the history. Try to discuss with your seniors. Bring it to us if you need any help. This is how you can get across the society. Patient will not come to your clinic straight. She doesn't know where to go. She may keep quiet. So when someone is complaining of something, please delve into it. So that's it. Any questions?